sheriff is now saying that he will ignore any of the White House's new gun control recommendations that his department finds unconstitutional. But this sheriff is not alone. At least 10 states now say that they're considering taking some sort of legislative action against the federal government. Those states span the nation, from Oregon all the way to South Carolina. Many sheriffs are now calling for action, like Lynn County, Oregon Sheriff Tim Muller. Sheriff, welcome. Good to have you here today.
Good morning, Martha.
Talk to me a little bit about your process of thinking this through. You know, when you started to hear about these executive orders coming down from the president, you know, what kind of action did you take? What became your plan, and how do you back up your ability to carry that out?
Well, how it first started was I had a lot of folks in my county asking myself and my deputies, you know, what my position was on if any what they termed far-reaching or overreaching gun control laws were established from the feds. And yeah, I made my position known. I tell my deputies that you know, I didn't support anything, any regulations that would infringe upon the constitutional rights of our citizens.
Well, when I swore oath to a community, a group of people who live in Jackson County. I swore oath to the Constitution, in which I swore oath also to the Constitution of Kentucky. And in that Constitution is the Second Amendment, and that's what this country is based upon. How can I rightfully, in my own mind and in my heart, come in and take guns away from people when that is their protection? In an area our small, we're in a rural county, we're in a rural area. Sometimes it takes 30, 40 minutes to respond to the remote part of our county to protect our people. They can call on a cell phone, and I can say I'm en route. I can be talking to them. A guy kicks their front door. I would rather them be armed and be able to take care of themselves than to, in my mind or my heart, take the guns away from them.
So I will not enforce an unconstitutional law against any citizen in Smith County. It just won't happen.
I personally believe that the provision in the Second Amendment is the final fail-safe, if you will. An armed society, if you read the Federalist Papers and study the Constitution, you'll see exactly why that is so important. And I believe that there is a goal to ultimately take as many firearms as possible. The differences between the firearms, more often than not, are cosmetic as to what is an assault weapon, that sort of thing.
And the sheriff is against the president's proposal to ban automatic assault rifles and limit the capacity of magazines.
I really don't have heartburn with people owning AR-15s. I don't. A 30-round magazine, if you're out target shooting with your AR-15, a 30-round magazine is pretty convenient.
You know, and I know with the Second Amendment, the way it was designed, you know, was to protect the people from the government. And but you know, in protection, it's just like if I'm a bad guy and I'm going to go kick a door, but I know the guy behind that door has a gun, and I go to this other door where I know a guy doesn't have a gun, that's the door I'm going to kick. You're still going to have instances, you're still going to have violence. You're not going to be able to curb that, but the innocent people are going to be able to protect themselves.
We won't enforce federal regulations or federal laws. We're not required to. There's a separation of powers, and we won't.
Well, I'm doing what I feel I am elected to do. I am elected with a very narrow range of responsibilities that have to do with public safety, law enforcement, and I'm not a robot. I'm supposed to think about what it is I do. And I'd point out to you, you've been talking about the NFL making statements. I remember then Senator Clinton screaming that she was tired of people saying that it was unpatriotic to criticize the president. All I've done is stood up and expressed my view of this very crucial part of the Second Amendment that I see in an instance of taking advantage of people's grief to pass things that in the final analysis are not in the best interest of the country, and the Second Amendment that is such an important part of protecting this republic.
Everybody in law enforcement and the judiciary takes the same oath. I took the oath. It's to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Implicit in that oath is a judgment that each individual makes. Is this order that my superiors have given me? Is this request that my colleagues have asked of me, is this application that lawyers have made before me consistent with the Constitution? Normally, there is tremendous cooperation between state and local law enforcement on one hand and the feds on the other. And that's for a variety of reasons. They help each other. Sometimes the state has to call in the feds, and the feds have something the states don't, a big fat checkbook. So the feds fund a lot of local law enforcement. Is it a crime for him to refuse to cooperate with the feds? Absolutely not. Does he have the discretion, the lawful ability to refuse to cooperate with the feds? Yes, he does. This is actually a growing movement throughout the country. Local and state law enforcement saying to the feds, those are your laws, you enforce them.
Fair. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, when you look at an executive order, I think most people would assume that that's an executive order, that has to be carried out across all levels of law enforcement in the country.
So the President of the United States cannot tell a local sheriff, a local police officer, a state attorney general what to do. I commend, I applaud local law enforcement when they say to the feds, don't come here. This is our problem, and we'll deal with it. The Constitution means what it says right here.
I'm back with Stephen Halbrook and Wisconsin Sheriff David Clarke, who this week warned that enforcing any gun laws that would deprive Americans of the right to bear arms could lead to a second American Revolution. Sheriff, you've been very vocal, and by the way, I absolutely agree with you. If you wait for 911, then shame on you. You've got to arm yourself and defend yourself once you educate yourself. Well, what's this whole idea of a second revolution? Where's that coming from?
Well, the question was, would I participate in assisting the feds coming into states and going into homes and taking everybody's gun away? And I said, I would not be a part of something like that. And I said, one of the reasons is I wouldn't want to get shot, because the American people are only going to put up with so much before they push back. And I said, if the feds tried to do that, disarm this country, I said, you would see an uprising and maybe a version of the second American Revolution because of that. Just read the Declaration of Independence. It's right in there.
Hillary Clinton has described already the meeting in the White House over 2 years ago. Everyone in the national security team recommended arming ISIS, and the president.
So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province. More Sunni volunteers are coming forward. Some are already being trained, and they can be a new force.
I'm the leading state sponsor of terrorism.
You have reached the Federal Bureau of Investigation's public access line. This call may be recorded or monitored.
Hello, this is Justin Hess with the U.S. Department of Counter-Tyranny Operations. The following information can be verified with a simple Google Internet search, so any failure to act upon this information will be seen as gross negligence. All you need to do is Internet search Obama admits to training terrorists. Ma'am, this is not a prank call. You just need to do the research, ma'am. Well, there's your gross negligence.
The FBI joined forces with our intelligence, military, and homeland security professionals to break up al-Qaeda cells, disrupt their activities, and thwart their plots. I'll say it as clearly as I can. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province. Countless Americans are alive today, and our country is more secure because of the FBI's outstanding work under the leadership of Bob Mueller. All the while, Bob and the FBI have been tireless against a whole range of challenges, from preventing violent crime and reducing gang activity, including along our border.
A report revealing 68,000 illegal immigrants convicted of a crime were released in the United States instead of being deported.
Amnesty is the immigration system we have today.
We have to admit, this is disturbing. The Obama administration admitting to giving a known gang member amnesty to stay right here in the United States. And then a year and a half later, that same known gang member arrested for murder of America's top model contestant. So why was the known gang member given amnesty to be here in the first place?
The town overwhelmed by a surge in illegal border crossings.
How did we get to where we are today?
Every 72 hours, Department of Homeland Security buses bringing another 120 illegal immigrants, many of them quickly released into the community.
You are not following the law. You are breaking the law.
And I remain loyal to you, Mr. President.
My next guest, a former Secret Service agent, well, he's seen it all, is now sounding the alarm and saying that what goes on behind closed doors at this White House is actually much worse than any of us can imagine. Here to explain is the man himself, author of the brand new book, Life Inside the Bubble, Why a Top-Ranked Secret Service Agent Walked Away from It All. Dan Bongino, how are you, sir?
Doing great.
Good to see you.
Sean.
And you know what? I wear the Secret Service pin every night. It's the most highly coveted pin there is. Everyone wants one. How long are you Secret Service agent? 12 years, right?
12 years, that's right.
So you served 3 presidents, Clinton, Bush, and Obama.
And Obama, that's right.
Why do you say this White House is worse than people know? That's scary. That's ominous.
Yeah, and again, I don't mean to frighten people, but I do have to sound an alarm. It's become a system. This White House has taken patronage and, more importantly, punishment to the next level. Let's be honest, there's always been patronage, although with their Solyndra scandals, I think they've taken that to the next level. The dangerous part, and what I want to sound the alarm on, is the punishment system. You know, Sean, government is a weapon.
And if you look at what the Department of Homeland Security has been purchasing over the last year, it comes out to like 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition.
That's enough bullets to supply the equivalent of the Iraq War for 24 years. This is our government buying up bullets to use against us.
More than 7,000 fully automatic assault weapons, 2,700 MRAP type vehicles, and now drones. Those are instruments of war. Department of Homeland Security's, who are they going to fight a war against?
Dr. Brzezinski, I want to start. You're a member of an exclusive club of national security advisors to presidents.
And somebody who I've learned an immense amount from, and for him to support me in this campaign and then be willing to come out here to Iowa is a testimony to his generosity. So if everybody could please give Dr. Brzezinski another round of applause.
And these new and old major powers face still yet another novel reality, in some respects unprecedented. And it is that while the lethality of their power is greater than ever, their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. I once put it rather pungently, and I was flattered that the British Foreign Secretary repeated this, as follows. Namely, in earlier times, it was easier to control 1 million people, literally. It was easier to control 1 million people than physically to kill 1 million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. It is easier to kill than to control. And of course, that bears directly on the use of force.
And if you look at what the Department of Homeland Security has been purchasing over the last year, it comes out to like 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition.
That's enough bullets to supply the equivalent of the Iraq War for 24 years. This is our government buying up bullets to use against us.
More than 7,000 fully automatic assault weapons, 2,700 MRAP type vehicles, and now drones.
Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people.
Department of Homeland Security's, who are they going to fight a war against?
This is our government buying up bullets to use against us.